Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So if you haven't already heard, I launched a Patreon page for my channel. And if you're not familiar with Patreon and what it actually is, it allows you as my viewer to be able to pledge a monthly donation to my channel. And in return, I'm going to be able to continue to expose the Church of Scientology. I'm releasing a next Scientology memoir for you guys, an upcoming documentary, and all your pledges are going to be able to help me make that possible. So I'm going to place the link right over here, as well as clickable in the description box below. And I have some really great giveaways and prizes and rewards for you guys. It's all going towards taking down the Church of Scientology. So if you support me, if you support others taking down the Church of Scientology, check out my Patreon page. So without further ado, today's video is going to be about how the Church of Scientology believes that Britney Spears is an evil person and how Britney Spears saved me from getting into Scientology Sea Organization. So if you don't already know, I am a very huge fan of Britney Spears. I've been a Britney fan since probably around 1998, 1999, so I was a young kid. I was probably around 7, 8 years old, so basically I grew up with Britney Spears and her music. She's played a very big part in my life, and I've met Britney Spears. I think she's so cool. I love her so much, but instead of me ranting and raving about how much I love Britney Spears, I'll get to the point of the video. So I've talked about this in other previous videos, but in one specific Sea Org recruitment session, I was promised that I would be going with these really two hot guys that were talking to me about coming into the Sea Org presentation. I wasn't interested, but they said, no, just come and hear us out and just learn a little bit about the Sea Org and what we do for other Scientology parishioners such as yourself. So I'm thinking, oh, well, I don't really want to, but these guys want me to come to this presentation and they're kind of cute. So I'm like, well, let me just go and see what they have to say. So instead of it being the two really hot guys, it ends up being this dorky girl and this old guy. And I was completely bait and switched, and it was at a Coffee Bean that was kind of near the Grove in Los Angeles, if you're familiar with where that is. But I used to live right next door. So they were like, we'll come to you with this presentation. I'm like, these two hot guys are going to come to my house. And they ended up meeting me at the Coffee Bean. And they obviously probably knew I was gay. And this is their way to try to, use sex and seduction in order to rope someone into Scientology even further. And in that case would be me joining the Sea Organization. But I wasn't out at the time. No one knew I was gay, but it was probably kind of obvious. But everyone kind of pushed that aside because I was donating money to the Church of Scientology. And they will take gay money, they will spend gay money, but once the gay checks stop coming in, that's when you're now persona non grata at the Church of Scientology. So they had iMac or some type of computer, and they had a whole presentation about the Sea Organization. Now I figured that they were going to do some sort of presentation such as this, but I was just kind of okay, it's probably going to be one of these long things, because every single time I'm in a Sea Org recruitment session, it's hours and hours and hours. But I'm figuring I'm in a public place. If I had to escape or if I had to leave or anything like that, I can obviously walk out the door. They're not going to prevent me. I'm in a public place. So I felt a little bit more safe when I was in a Sea Org recruitment session at Coffee Bean versus being at, one of the orgs in the same, situation or circumstance. So they started talking really, really loud, and it was kind of embarrassing because there's, how it is at a Coffee Bean or Starbucks, and people are on their computers or on their phone or just drinking coffee with friends or whatever the deal is. And these people are in their full Sea Org attire with the hat and the whole gold chain thing, and they're in their whole Sea Org gear. And it was kind of weird because, here I am with these two people dressed in uniform, and they're talking very loudly about Scientology and signing a billionaire pledge and all this sort of stuff, and people were looking over, and I knew that there was a stigma about Scientology, but I didn't really understand why there was. I just figured it was misunderstood, whatever. Anyways, I'm going along with this. I have no intention at this time to join the Sea Organization because I was very heavily pursuing my acting career, and I didn't want anything to come in the way of that. And that kind of protected me in a way, because if I wasn't, say, pursuing my acting career, I would have probably have joined the Sea Org, but now I'm not really pursuing my acting career, and if I was still in the church and I was at a low point, I probably would have joined the Sea Org, because I would have probably felt well, I gave it a shot, the acting thing's not working out, so might as well forward my religious, church's aims and become an auditor or whatever. And they used to do that to me too. They used to say hey, how's that acting career going? are you going to give us another shot to get you into the Sea Organization? And I'd always be like, no, like, I'm still pursuing the acting thing. And I always knew like there was something protecting me, whether it was Britney Spears, which I'm getting to, or whether it was just me with this very strong drive to be an actor, or some sort of, you know, doubt very far in the back of my mind that would creep up and say something's not right. So I always had a weird feeling about the Sea Org. Something always made me feel sick and uncomfortable, and I always felt like they were trying to get me into like slavery or something, which ultimately it is when you think about what it is. When you live and work for Scientology around the clock and you make $50 a week, if that, and you live in communal housing and you can't leave the org base and all that sort of stuff, and it's just obviously another level of cult extremism. So I'm in this presentation, and basically in the presentation, they're trying to create this world where it's us against them. It's us as these higher beings, as Scientologists, against the rest of the world. And everyone has this fourth dynamic engram. So that's basically what you're working on upper level OT levels. But basically the fourth dynamic engram is something that each one of us has inside of us. It's an engram. Whole worldwide population, we all have this specific engram. And basically, from my understanding from the Sea Org presentation, is that the reason that we are only like capable here instead of to our full potential is because we have this fourth dynamic engram. And this engram keeps us basically in a hypnosis state. So we're all going and we're all operating and agreeing to certain things, whether it's time, whether it's matter, energy, space, whatever. We're all agreeing to the world. We agree right now if it's 1:30 that it's 1:30 in Los Angeles. And it's the same sort of thing with this fourth dynamic engram, is that we're all programmed a certain way. And once we unprogram ourselves, and once we audit out this fourth dynamic engram, we have unlimited capabilities, whether it's, you know, seeing through walls, having, you know, telepathic abilities, any of those sort of things are going to be able to become unleashed because we no longer have this holding us back. And not only this fourth dynamic engram, but continuously through the media, through the news. Keep with me, I know this is odd, but I'm trying to keep you in the mindset that they're trying to put me in. We're watching the news, television. We all know that certain newspapers are backed by certain enterprises, for example. Like, I think Jeff was telling me the other day, because I was in the National Enquirer, and I'm going to show you guys in a video about how I was in the National Enquirer. I spoke to them regarding Scientology and Nelson Ellis and his passing, so I'll share a little bit more information with you guys about that as well in a future video. But I was in the National Enquirer, and Jeff was like, oh, well, they're very heavy backed by Donald Trump. So it's the same sort of thing what Scientology would say about different media things, that they have funding by different pharmaceutical companies, antidepressant pushers, all these sort of things. Scientology would say, oh, you know, you watch ABC, for example, and ABC is also owned by Disney, and they are backed by Eli Lilly, for example. I'm not sure exactly who. So when, you know, you're watching those channels, they're pushing specific psychiatric messages into you. And they'll also have ads on these networks. And they're using specific commands, hypnotic commands in these psych commercials saying, you know, are you depressed? Do you feel tired for no reason? Whatever. You need to take Latuga. Like, I don't know, like whatever the drug would be. And they would pitch that drug to you. And it would be like a command into you to be like, oh yeah, I am kind of feeling depressed. Maybe I should take this psychiatric drug. And once you take those drugs by these big pharmaceutical companies that are basically running the world, like there's 3 or 4 of them that are basically in control of us. And we take these drugs and they keep us numb, they keep us not able to, say, receive auditing and being able to reach our full potentials, keeping us sick. These drugs are to keep us sick and keep us paying these big pharmaceutical companies, because these drugs and these psychiatrists and other companies want to remain so powerful that we as people cannot, say, use Scientology and those sort of workable technologies such as L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics and Scientology, whatever they would claim, you know. Obviously, Scientology is trying to say that they're the answer to mental health, because they don't want us to, say, go to a psychiatrist or a therapist and actually receive real help. They want to say we're the only source of help, psychiatrists, all those companies are all bad, they're all evil. You have to basically, when you're in Scientology, rely on Scientology for help with everything. And here I am, some like 18, 19-year-old kid who's with these two Sea Org recruiters being told how the whole world is basically some sort of crazy conspiracy theory by we're implanted and the psychiatrists and blah blah blah, and there's all these other people at Starbucks that must be like, what the hell is this kid doing? Like, he should be running away. But of course me, I was already hooked in Scientology, so I was believing it as some sort of, giving them the benefit of the doubt that this all could be true. And yeah, they showed me this weird video, like this flag-only briefing of how you were chosen to be in the Sea Organization and our planet, and showing me all these crazy videos that I know that they don't show to everyone. Well, they try to get a lot of people into the Sea Organization by like pre-qualifying them. But once you're qualified and once you've done enough Scientology courses, then they kind of open up like the crazy bag and show you really what Scientology is about, and you're like, this is batshit crazy. So I'm sitting there and it's just very awkward, and they were just telling me that I should give up on my acting career, that I could be an actor in the Sea Organization, and the girl said that she wanted to be a musician. She had the opportunity, whether it was a record deal or to go on tour or to do something really big. But she said, I gave that all up to be in Scientology and be in the Sea Organization, so can you, sort of thing. And I just saw like the sadness in her eyes when she said that she gave up some really big opportunity to join the Sea Organization. I'm like, I can't let that happen to me, because I know that Scientology isn't all it's cracked up to be. Even at this point, I still stayed in Scientology for a longer period of time, but there was still something that wasn't right. Like, I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, something's weird, like something's going on, something that I kind of can't put my finger on, but something's not right here. So we get to the point in the presentation, and they started talking about Britney Spears. So they were talking about how artists and musicians and other people in pop culture are also being paid. Like, say Britney Spears is with Jive Records, and Jive Records is owned by Sony. Sony gets backed or has received financial contributions or supported in some way, or the CEO is affiliated to blah blah blah, some sort of psychiatry or some sort of medical sort of company, or another one of Scientology's enemies. And they'll say, yeah, of course they make Britney Spears sing these songs that are promoting, you know, say deviant sexual behavior, going out too deep, for example. So they played me Britney's song 3. And the song 3 is about a threesome. We're literally in Coffee Bean. The guy is going click, 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 like playing the Britney song at like full blast. Like, these people don't have like normal, like, I'm sure you guys, if you've met a Scientologist or if you've been in Scientology, you know, like, Scientologists are so out of touch with the world, and they just don't have the same social interactions as like the normal world or whatever. I don't really know how to put it, but they put the song on like full blast, and they're sitting there in their Sea Org gear, and we're watching Britney Spears, you know, we're watching a Britney Spears music video. And people are looking over, whatever, and we're all like looking at the Britney video, and everyone's kind of like looking like, what the hell, like, why is this guy playing this Britney Spears song on full blast volume? And it was weird. And you think that if it's true that Britney is hypnotizing us with this song, why are they playing it for the whole entire Coffee Bean? Like, does that make any sense? Like, think about it. But they're trying to prove a point, like, yeah, like, you see how she's saying 1, 2, 3, Peter, Paul, Mary, like, whatever, like, singing the song about whoever she had the threesome with. And it was just really uncomfortable, and I basically stopped them like a quarter of the way through the video. I'm like, okay, I've seen the video, I'm familiar, I know the video. And they basically said, like, when you're in the Sea Organization, you are doing Scientology, you're receiving services, you're delivering service, you're surrounded by Scientology, so you're not getting, you know, re-stimulated by music such as this, you're not watching the news, you're constantly in a theta environment. And for me, being theta, if there is such a thing as being theta, it's listening to Britney Spears for me, because she makes me happy. So that's something that is more theta, being able to enjoy music and art versus only being exposed to Scientology in some way. But anyways, we're going along with this theory, or they're going along with this theory, saying that Britney Spears is promoting this sort of behavior because people are going to look up to Britney Spears and watch these music videos and believe it's okay to engage in out 2D behavior, meaning like cheating or going to have a threesome or any of that sort of stuff. And also the video has hidden messages almost that are again supposed to keep us like numb in this hypnotic state of keeping us underneath these like psychs. Like they're like up here and like we're down here, and we're just constantly like pretend these are like waves of like hypnotic messages and commands and other subtle things in our environment. And as we watch TV, they want us to constantly be like of effect of them and constantly being, you know, fed the pill, so to speak. Whereas Scientology is trying to be like we're rising above that, and we're auditing people, and we're, you know, auditing out all of that. We're auditing out mankind's fourth dynamic engram and clearing the planet essentially, and doing all that sort of stuff, and, you know, tipping the theta to and theta ratio and all these different things. So again, I'm in the SEAL recruitment session and I'm not buying it for a minute. Like there's nothing that I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. So once they were talking about Britney, and they talked about other people too, but the one thing that I really related to was when they were talking about Britney and that sort of thing. I wouldn't say related to it, but it's something that I could be like, oh, that's totally BS. Because they start talking about other government things and different things about, you know, things that happened in the past, and showing me different news clippings and things. And I don't really know a lot about, as we know, about politics, and I don't know a lot about government and that sort of stuff. So to me, I'm like, okay, it doesn't, that's not like, wow, groundbreaking. I'm going to join the Sea Org because you told me that President so-and-so in 19 whatever did X, Y, Z. Like, I don't care. At the time, I was an actor. I was interested in pop culture and that sort of stuff. I wasn't really paying attention to some politician or something like that. So for me, when they were talking about Britney Spears, for example, it really helped me to see around the brainwashing. So then the guy is saying that, oh, like, you know, right now, he can, because he's OT, he can look through that wall and he could see into the kitchen in Coffee Bean. And he could see them like making the coffees or the bagels or whatever they're doing in like the back room. He's like, he can see that right now. And basically, the other girl, when he walked away, she's like, yeah, like, you know, he's telling lots of stories and he's walked through walls and all this sort of stuff. And, you know, they don't demonstrate the ability, but she just trusts it. So, because I'm like, have you ever seen him like walk through a wall, or is he like? And she's like, oh, he's verified. Like he said, you know, that there was a man behind the door, and there was a man behind the door. Like 50-50 shot, is it a man or a woman? It's a man. You know, 50% of the time you're going to be right. So I thought it was a little crazy, but I was kind of intrigued because I was still naive. I'm young. I'm like, well, maybe I can get those sort of abilities, and that would be really cool. So he was telling me how, you know, the only way I'm going to get OT is if I'm in the Sea Organization, because I'm not going to be able to have the funds, as we all know, because I'm broke. And this is the way to get towards spiritual freedom and helping others and being able to, you know, now that I have this information, I need to be able to do something about it. Because I was saying that, you know, I haven't really done enough in Scientology, so I want to experience Scientology more, understandably, before I commit my life to the Sea Org. Why would I commit my life to something that I've only done a couple courses in, for example? And he's like, well, you're not going to be able to do more Scientology unless you join the Sea Org, because you're not going to have the ability to go up the bridge in your current state. So you're actually going to be studying and practicing Scientology 24/7 around the clock, and that's going to make you a better Scientologist. So I don't know what I said. I somehow got myself out of that Sea Org session. I'm like, you know what? I'm going. I don't have any interest. Like, sorry to waste your time. You guys said initially to me that it was just so I can learn a little bit more about what you do. I didn't think I was going to be getting recruited today. And they're like, we can help you like pack up your apartment, and we can sublet your apartment, even though you can't do that at the apartment complex I lived at. We can get rid of it. We can sell your car. We can get you in the Sea Org. Like, just sign the contract. Like, we can do a project prepare, which basically means like getting you set up to get into the Sea Organization. Just make the commitment and promise to us that you're going to join. You know, and I'm like, I'll think about it, whatever. And like, what do you have to think about? This is something that you should know right now, if this is something you want to do or not. And if you care about helping people, you agree that you're a Scientologist, right? Okay. So this is something that's important for not only your eternity and your spiritual salvation, but for the rest of mankind. And you now have the data. You now know what we're facing with on this planet. And there's not a lot of time remaining, so we need to be able to start getting to work. And by being a Scientologist, you take responsibility, and you need to be able to step up to the plate. If you qualify for the Sea Org, which you do, and you need to step up to the plate and start taking responsibility for not only yourself, but for this planet. And it's kind of like, whoa, like, what? that's how they kind of pitch it to you. And you're in this position where they're saying, there's people who are experiencing natural disasters. There's things going on in the world. There's sickness. There's ill health. There's money problems in the world and government and all this sort of stuff. And we need Scientology to rise above so we're able to take control, and we're able to, therefore, be able to deliver auditing to others, being able to, like now they have their TV studio, they're just talking about it then, being able to get our message out on a worldwide level, and being able to get more people into and invested in the Church of Scientology. It all made sense in that sort of respect, where I'm like, well, Scientology is what I experienced to be something that's really monumental and important. And even though I haven't gotten like all the wins and gains and that sort of stuff, I had a lot of friends who were saying they did. I have done several courses that I thought were beneficial, and I did think it was better than just taking drugs and alcohol, and I was very holistic, and I didn't believe in taking any medicine, and of course that related to Scientology in a lot of ways. So I was on board with like their mission, but not joining the Sea Organization. So I luckily somehow got out of there. The guys yelling and screaming at me, and they were like flipping out, and I basically walked back to my apartment. I knew that my complex was gated, that they weren't getting in, but they were like pissed off, and I was just like, boom, like I left that place. They weren't even like Celebrity Center CEO recruiters, so I know I wouldn't see them again sort of thing, but I was pissed off. I never get pissed off at Scientologists because I thought like, oh, like they're a Sea Org, but we have to like, be appreciative of what they do for us as members and for the world and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, screw that. I'm going home and listening to Britney Spears. I'm going to go listen to that music video, and I'll record a parody video of me singing Britney Spears and mail it to that guy, like just to keep him hypnotized and implanted and whatever the hell he was talking about. So I was pissed off. I probably didn't go back to Scientology for like 2 weeks. And that was like a long time for me. Like I probably didn't go back for like 2 weeks because I was so mad and everyone was calling me, but I was too busy listening to Britney Spears. I mean, I don't know what to say. I was saved by Britney Spears in a lot of ways, because right at that point I checked out and I discredited everything else they said, because I don't know if I met Britney at that time or afterwards, but I knew how sweet of a person she was, and she was an entertainer, and I didn't think that Britney Spears was evil. And again, I don't really know Britney Spears. I met her once at a concert. So just from what I've known, from whether it was documentaries, interviews, other things, like Britney Spears never came off to me as like this evil psychiatric plant that is hypnotizing others and whatever. And for whatever reason, I guess my fandom for Britney Spears saved me from joining Scientology, but they truly thought that she was being used by psychiatry. It was just an evil person. And to me, I think that even though, if you overlook it being about Britney Spears, just in general, to be saying that we're better than the rest of everyone else, these people are evil, and I don't know, I feel like people who kind of compartmentalize others like that are usually the evil ones themselves. But anyways, I just wanted to share that story about what it's kind of like in a CEO recruitment session. I kind of went into that a bit for you guys. I hope I didn't creep you out in any way about how Britney Spears saved me, and I do have some really great videos coming for you in the near future. So if you want to see more videos of mine, please click the red subscribe button below. Tap on that bell icon. That's going to notify you when I release new videos. Check out my Patreon page. Like I said, any donation would help me be able to continue to expose the Church of Scientology. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching.